So you've got your Victrix Pro FS, and you want to mod it with different levers. And let's say you're a Seimitsu player. Well, this thing isn't really going to fit in here. Fortunately for you, I found a way to do it. But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about something else, my merchandise. You can go ahead and go on to the link down in the descriptions for the Streamlabs merch store, and you can pick up a shirt like this one, the Do an Electric t-shirt. I think it looks pretty good. It was done by Deeb's Nuts, the artwork, over on Twitter. You can go and commission him for just about any kind of artwork you want done. Great guy, and he gets his work done pretty fast. So go down in the description, click on the link, and help support the channel and by getting one of our t-shirts. So like I said, I managed to fit an LS32 in here. The one that I fit in is right here because I am doing a bunch of videos at once, and right now I have a crown lever in here. I'll talk about how to put the crown as well as the crown buttons in near the end of the video. But in the B-roll, you will see that I have managed to put one of these things in here. Now, I should preface this by saying that in order to fit a full LS32 with the link, and even a normal LS32 that doesn't have the FreakMods link, you're gonna have to modify your case a little bit. And by modify, I mean you're gonna have to drill a hole into it. So if you aren't comfortable with possibly damaging the stick or having to void your warranty because you have damaged the stick intentionally, then stick around, because after I tell you how to put a 3202 in here, I'll tell you how to mount the crown as well as a different kind of Seimitsu lever. So with that out of the way, we're going to talk about the tools that you're going to need. First, you're going to need normal screwdriver kit. So I use this, 56, 46, whatever bit kit from, if I can get it out of here, from iFixit. This is a great kit. I've used it. Screws came out. I've used it on virtually everything for stick modding that I've done in the past for like the last couple years. It's a great kit. So it has every kind of bit you'll need. You'll need a Phillips. You also need a flathead. And that's really about it. The next tool that you're going to need is you're going to need a drill with a 1-inch. This is a 1-inch bit. So this is the bit that you're going to need because we're going to need it to drill a hole into the back of this case. So that's pretty much all the tools you're going to need. The one thing that I also do like to use, I'll move the drill out of the way since I'm not going to use it, is I like to use these. If you got the Victrix and it came in that big shipping box, it came with these closed cell packaging foam things that went on the end of the box that the stick actually came in. These are actually perfect if you want to, let me just show you. If you have something like this that isn't detachable and you want to mod your stick anyway, well, you can stick it in like that and it'll actually kind of rest a little bit above the table that you're sitting it on, so you're not having to do this and push against the stick when it's on the table. It's actually really good. You can also stand it up on its side if you don't. It makes it easier to kind of get to the arcade stick and the internals and switch out all that stuff. You have a couple of different options. I like using this one for things that aren't Korean levers because this one's a little bit taller, so it will push into the foam, but you know, whatever. The things you're going to need to put into the stick are going to be, first, your LS3202, and I'll tell you what you're going to do in a second for this. You're going to need your flat base plate. Seimitsu's come with this standard. So you notice I've already got a flat plate on this one. I have a couple of them. You can get these over on Arcade Shock, Focus Attack, Paradise Arcade Shop. I'm pretty sure those all have these flat plates because Seimitsu's normally come with this one. This won't fit. It doesn't match up. The holes don't match up, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but they do make flat plates. The next thing that you're going to need is going to be your normal 5-pin harness. You can get them, again, from any of those 3 shops that I just mentioned. This is usually what you use to solder onto a PCB if it doesn't have a 5-pin header, a JST header I think it is. This one will connect to the Victrix 5-pin header on here, and there's a reason why you have to do this. So when it comes to Sanwas are mounted at the bottom of the PCB, so the 5-pin will go in with this side facing up. Seimitsus are mounted upside down, so you have to turn these upside down and plug them in this way. The 5-pin plug that Victrix provides you does not fit on the Seimitsu. You can't turn it upside down and plug it in. So the way to get around that without having to solder or create your own new 5-pin header is you're gonna line up the header from the 5-pin that comes with the Victrix with the 5-pin harness that you bought or you found. Usually you get one if you buy a stick. You know, it all depends really. You're gonna line them up. The black is gonna be the ground, and then you've got, I believe it says it on here too. No, it just has them numbered. You're gonna line up the black, and then all the colored wires associated with it are gonna go into the adjacent holes. These wires are actually pretty durable. They're actually pretty strong, the exposed wire, so you can just plug them into it, and you're actually good to go right there. If you want to, you can shorten these and make it a little bit shorter if you don't want to have to do what I do, which is I fish the wires through the in between the buttons. That way the wires aren't kind of like all over the place. And then you can turn your 5-pin upside down and you can plug it into your Seimitsu no problem. But before we get into having to do that, we're going to have to mount the Seimitsu into the stick. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take out our Sanwa or whatever stick that you have in right now. You're going to do that by taking the 4 screws out. You're going to unplug the 5-pin header, and you're going to stow that stick somewhere else in case you want to use it again. The next thing is that the screws aren't going to fit into the base plate for our Seimitsu, so we're going to have to take the washers off to make them compatible or make them long enough to fit in and screw the base plate onto the stick. Save the washers in case you want to put your Sanwa or any other stick back in. And now we've basically prepped the stick to have the Seimitsu mounted. If you're using the quick disconnect version like I did, it's very easy to put it in. You just take the top off and then you can slide it in. But you're going to notice a problem. You can't reach the screws on the top. The way to solve that is we're going to have to take the stick apart. The way to do that is that you're going to take out the 2 screws that screw the restrictor plate onto... That is my phone. Can you not today? So the way that you're going to do it, and I'm going to show this one, this is an unmodified LS32, is the 2 screws here are going to come off to take off the restrictor plate, and then the gate, why did I say plate, and then for the metal base plate that's here, you're going to take these 4 outer screws out, and that will pop the PCB and the metal base plate out. Now you're ready to mount it into your stick. You're going to put the base plate in, and then making sure that your micro switches are in the correct spot. Again, the 5-pin has to be facing towards the buttons. You're going to tighten the screws in on the base plate, and then you're going to reassemble it the same way that you took it apart. Now, you're going to plug in your 5-pin header, the one that we modified earlier, and then you're going to close the case. You're all set to go, right? Not entirely. This is why you need the drill. The problem when mounting the LS3202 into a Victrix Pro FS is that the base of the shaft is too long. It's too thick to fit into the body. It conflicts with the door that closes. Sure, it will close. You won't feel any kind of resistance, but the problem is that it sits right up against the plastic, and when you try to move the lever in any direction, it's going to get caught, and it's going to get stuck, and it won't return to neutral normally. So, the reason why I didn't say drill a hole in it to begin with is because we have to first make sure where our hole is. You don't want to keep drilling around and seeing where the hole is, and hopefully you get it right. Luckily, even though mine isn't perfectly centered, it actually doesn't conflict at all, and I can move the LS32 freely. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the LS32 and we're just going to let it grind against the back door. So the way you do that is you're just going to take your stick and you're going to just keep doing 360s. Make sure you do that for a little while so it grinds away the plastic on the back door, and it will show you exactly where the conflicting issue is. Now, I chose a 1-inch because this is really what I have around. I think 1 inch is probably, it might be too big of a hole saw, but it's perfect for me. I don't have any conflicting issues anymore. So what we're gonna do now that we've ground away all of the plastic and shown where the square is, because this is a square gate, we're gonna take our hole saw and we're gonna try and line that up in the middle of where all the grinded away plastic is, and we're just gonna go at it. We're gonna hold down the trigger and we're just gonna press into the door and just chip away the plastic. Now, fortunately, it isn't one solid piece of plastic, so we actually do have different layers. There's 2 separate layers. There's the smooth plastic one that you see, and then there's an underlying plastic part for the bottom half, the half that attaches to the the non-slip foam or padding that they're using on it, on the back of the stick. So we're gonna drill away, and you will see when it stops. You'll see when to stop because you'll see the bottom half of the door. So it's gonna drill away. I want to say it's probably not even like 1/4 of an inch. It's probably a little less than 1/4 of an inch, but regardless, it chips away enough, or drills out enough of the hole, or drills out enough of the plastic so that the hole will accommodate the LS32. So that's why I said that you're gonna have to kind of give up returning this stick. You have to make sure that you want to keep this stick around, or that you don't ever want to RMA it or something, because you are permanently modifying this stick. So now that we have the hole drilled in the place that we want, we can close it up, and it works like a charm. There's no conflicting issues anywhere, and I can do all the things I want to on a Seimitsu. The only little issues that you're gonna find is that because of the way that the base plate mounts, it's not like perfectly aligned. Even though the holes are aligned, there's still things that kind of push it a little further away from being flat up against the bottom of the mounting holes. So if you're using something like the link that it came with, it'll be a little bit shorter in the body, so the lever will be kind of shorter. I think they make like extension rods or something that can make the lever a little taller. I don't remember, but the other issue is going to be you're gonna find that it's not perfectly center. Again, it doesn't really conflict with any inputs. I haven't noticed it. And if you really wanted to rectify any of those problems, I think the way to do it would either be you have to file down the screws that are on the inside enough to accommodate the base plate. And in some extreme cases, even that little outlying, there's these plastic L shapes that go around that form the base plate for the Sanwa, so they can slide right in. You might have to file or chip those or Dremel them out, but that's something that I don't really care to do, so I'm not going to do it. It works fine. If you have the normal link, the link 2 that comes with your stick, that will fit into the link just fine, and you should be able to play no problem. Now then, say you didn't want to do that. Say you wanted to use a crown lever, or you wanted to use a different Seimitsu lever. Well, fortunately for you, Seimitsu actually makes a smaller form factor. This Seimitsu is the LS5601. You can get these, I think, on those 3 shops. I know our Arcade Shop for certain has one of these. It also has the multi-tension version, which has lesser tension and higher tension springs that you can put into this thing. I highly recommend getting one of those if you're going to get it from Arcade Shock, and that way you can test around with higher tensions or lower tension springs. And this one is actually just a straight direct fit from a Sanwa. Pull the Sanwa out, and then you're going to mount it the same way that you mounted the Sanwa. The only modification you have to make is that 5-pin harness adapter that I told you about, the way that we made it longer, because you still have to plug in the 5-pin the same way. Now, if you want to put a crown in, the crown, I will show some video of it, is a little bit different. There's a little black dust cover thing that is sunk into the body, and that has the actual hole that's needed to put in the restrictor plate for the restrictor gate for the Crown MJ series, the ones that can mount into Japanese bodies. And really, you just mount it sideways, and then you plug in the connector, the adapter for the crowns onto the micro switches in this order. I'll show you guys up front, or I'll show you guys in the video the actual order of the micro switches that need to be connected. It's going to be a little bit different than what you normally do because, you know, you don't want your up to be down and left to be right in the wrong areas. But you do that, and then you plug it in. You plug it in the same way. You don't need the 5-pin extender because it will actually just fit just fine. The original 5-pin connector that's on here will just plug in, no problem. And you'll be on your way to playing on a Korean lever. Now for the buttons, I used Sanwa's SDB202 mechanical push buttons. I'm not going to talk about these right now, these are for separate video, but these are screw-on buttons, and I didn't really have any compatibility issues. Near the last 4 buttons up here, the triggers and the bumpers, there was kind of a little bit, it was kind of tight, but really what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to hold the micro switch, screw it in as far as you can, and then holding that, the screw in, the screw, whatever it's called, you're just going to tighten them. It's really straightforward, and I got them all to fit in just fine. They all plug in and they play great. So any button really aside from American parts, honestly, that's probably the only things that aren't going to fit in here are American parts because they're just physically too big for the body. So if you're looking for American parts, like I said in my review, you're probably going to have to stick with a thick enough body, like the MK stick or some other American-made arcade stick. And honestly, if you're playing arcade part, if you're playing if you're playing American parts in 2019, the current year, good luck. That's not an insult to American players or American parts. I'm just saying good luck trying to get those to fit anything. So with that, they all play just like how they would normally play in any other stick. And if you know what these things play like, then yeah, there you go. You now have a 3202 or Crown or whatever lever that'll fit into your stick. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you disliked it, you know what to do. Comment down below what you want to see next. Hit subscribe, hit the bell notification, share the video, and if you want to pick up some of the merch, you know, we still got the shirts, and go check us out on twitch.tv/HurtboxTV. I've been Dan, and this is HurtboxTV. Have a good day. Peace.